Hi, everyone. On behalf of HR.com, I'd like to welcome you to this webcast, Results-Oriented Communications Before, During, and After Virtual Benefits Fair and Benefits Fairs and Enrollment, sponsored by Learn Your Benefits. This webcast has been pre-approved for when HRCI credit, so please be sure to watch the entirety of the webcast in order to receive the credit. It'll appear in your HR.com account within 2 business days, and we'll also send you an email with the information. So during the webcast, if you have any questions, we ask that you submit questions for the presenters using the Q&A in your webinar controls. You'll also see that the chat feature is open as well. So if you'd like to put comments or anything in there as well, that's open for you to engage. And we hope that you make use of both the chat and both the Q&A. All right, it is now my absolute pleasure. We'll get this started, and I'm going to pass it over to Brian Gazella.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me just fine. Once again, my name is Brian Gazella. I'm with Learn Your Benefits. Thank you very much for joining us for this webinar. As I kick it off here, I am going to shut down my camera so you don't have to stare at me the whole time here. The title is Results-Oriented Communications Before, During, and After Virtual Benefits Fairs and Enrollment. I mean, this is a virtual benefits fair event and an open enrollment event. But what we like to talk about is the before and after of open enrollment. Open enrollment, in our eyes, is very much the Super Bowl of benefits communications. But as you know, and if you follow sports here in the United States, a lot of the times the big dance or the big game, the Super Bowl, is really won before and after the actual event. So we like to talk about communications before and after open enrollment. And again, we'll also talk a lot about virtual benefits fairs and enrollment best practices during this. So during this presentation, I'll go through introductions of who I am and who Learn Your Benefits is. We'll talk then about virtual benefits fairs, best practices, so some tips on design, some tips on functionality, etc. Then we'll pivot over to communicating before and after enrollment. What we like to do is borrow a lot of experience from the sales and marketing teams and organizations to help you guys market and promote your benefits to your employees and try to drive adoption as if, again, you were trying to sell a product as a sales and marketer. Then we'll talk about the do's and don'ts of communicating virtually. Those things are, you know, the idea of making sure things are brief, making sure that they resonate, etc. So we'll cover those things in the do's and don'ts topic. Now let's talk about who Learn Your Benefits is. The presenters today, as well as our product, just real quickly, not again to immediately sell Learn Your Benefits, but it's just to talk about our experience, to ground it that this is what we do every single day, and hopefully you guys can learn from our experience doing this. My name is Brian Gazella. As I said, I'm one of the co-founders here at Learn Your Benefits. We've been in business for about 4 or 5 years now. We have hundreds of organizations on our platform. I have about 15 years experience in digital communications, marketing strategy, etc., and then 15 years in organizational development and finance. My co-founder and partner ran a communications agency for years here in the United States, 15 years doing that, 20 years actually in the agency, and he specialized in communications for healthcare, benefits, and financial services, and his agency actually won quite a few national awards and has worked with some of the top employers really in the world. Learn Your Benefits then is the organization we founded, again, a few years ago, that we present as a video-focused communications platform that can help you pivot, if you will, from open enrollment, so the big dance, to onboarding, to everything in between. So trying to give people a communications platform that doesn't sit on a shelf 50 weeks out of the year, that's something that can be really valuable 52 weeks out of the year to help you drive results or target a specific result. When we say pivot, for example, we have these screens, or we have user experiences, we have significant video content that help people, say, promote virtual benefits fairs at one moment, or then pivot to a, like you see on the right there, you see a mobile device, the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, pivot then to, say, just a general education or an open enrollment screen here. So we do benefits communications. We specialize in video-focused benefits communications. And like I said, we work with a few hundred organizations. So Before I dive into the actual content, then we're going to actually queue up, and I apologize to our host here, our first polling question. Did you use a virtual benefits fair or virtual open enrollment solution last year? Now, 2020 certainly shoved a lot of people into needing to think about communicating virtually. And so I want to know, did people license anything? Did they create their own sort of infrastructure when they realized they needed to communicate remotely? Or did you do things Sally, same as last year? Let me know.
All right, we have quite a few responses here, Brian. I'm going to share the results with you.
Oh, fantastic. So certainly, as you guys can see here on the screen, no, a lot of people primarily use paper or webinars with the remote workers. So pretty similar to year over year. So it looks like 2/3 of everyone on here did things pretty consistent year over year. And certainly write in the chat, did that work well? Did you feel like you missed anything? Were there more questions, fewer questions? Write that down in the chat. I'd be curious to see what people's take was. Could they have done something a little bit differently, or could it have been better? So thank you very much for answering that. Now back into the presentation. So virtual benefits fairs, best practices. Like I showed you in a couple of screens ago, this is what we do every single day, not necessarily just virtual benefits fairs. A ton of our clients use us for open enrollment. A ton of clients use us for year-round communications. But let's just talk about best practices during your open enrollment window. And before we get into those best practices, what we like to do is just talk about level setting the characteristics of your employees that I'm sure you guys are all aware of, but we like to talk about these as we roll into the actual recommendations we have here. So the first one is, you guys know this, some employees know a little about your benefits. You've got people who know absolutely nothing, just got off their family's healthcare plan, have never used dental or vision insurance, don't understand it. And you got the people who just, they already know everything. Just tell me my deductible, tell me my rates, and kind of get out of my face. So it's certainly really important to know that you have different learning needs. Additionally, spouses rarely have a complete picture. And so this is something that's really, really important for virtual benefits fairs or virtual open enrollment. And the thing that we talk about a lot is helping spouses have access to this. A lot of times they're making the decisions, or they need real-time answers. They can't get that in many communication situations, especially if you're doing print or PowerPoint or webinars. They can't necessarily get to that information. And then speaking of instant answers with spouses, everyone wants instant answers. We're so hardwired these days for an instant answer. We all turn to Google to find out who was the actor or actress in a particular movie that was 25 years ago. People want that level of instant answers to their benefits, particularly because a lot of people save it to the last second. They cram themselves for the final, they cram for the open enrollment, and then they need an instant number on what their rate is, and they're just going to sort of check the box and move on. So a lot of people do want just instant answers. And then, as we talked about a little bit before, employees have different learning needs. Some prefer video, some need print, some need to see everything, all of their options at a given time, or some people just are instant deciders. So keep that in mind in how people make decisions. So giving them an open enrollment and virtual benefits experience that addresses those different learning needs is really, really critical. Employees need clarity and brevity. We've all studied infographics. We've all studied video production, how to make videos resonate with people. Well, clarity and brevity, keep it brief, keep it clear, and more importantly, also make sure it resonates with them. So give examples in your communications and things like that. So as you gear up for your virtual benefits fair experience or your open enrollment this coming season, try to address these checks, this list here that you see here on the screen as you prepare your communications. Now let's give some more best practices. In the next couple of slides, I'm going to go through a little bit of the design and functionality recommendations that we always have with people trying to create a virtual benefits fair experience or an open enrollment experience, or really just an annual year-round communications experience. So what you see here on the screen, in the background, you can kind of see it's grayed out. You see a virtual hall, a virtual benefits fair hall, if you will. These are fun. These help people make it feel special. It helps people engage with, oh, this is a fair, this is an experience, this is something different than a poster or a handout. But I really want to draw your attention to the hand. Now, it can be anything. This is just kind of a kitschy little fun thing to show you here, in that this is a welcome video. This video here, maybe it's the CHRO, maybe it's the president of the company, maybe it's the CFO, it could be anyone, or maybe it's a produced video that you license to put in here that talks about your benefits changes. But here's the point. Just like you would go to a trade show or a fair, you would have somebody greeting you in the lobby, walking you through. Hey, over here are the booths, over here is concessions, over here is the restrooms, here's your handbag or your grab bag. Now carry on into the virtual fair. That's the purpose of this video, and this is one of the biggest recommendations we have when it comes to a virtual benefits fair experience, is giving them that guide. Don't make it feel daunting. Maybe this person or this video can just be 20 seconds long saying, here's your 3 changes this year. Be sure to visit these 3 booths. If you have any more questions, carry on into the fair and see about answering them. And this little thing pops up and walks you through it. Here's some other ideas to make it a really good experience. First of all, there are some solutions out there, and you can certainly jerry-rig some for yourself to perhaps collect names for grab bags. In the grab bag, you might put your benefits guide, you might put a little handout, you might put branded materials like shirts and flyers and pens and things like that in that. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to encourage participation in that actual virtual benefits fair experience. The next thing to try to think about and how to build it within maybe your HRIS system or another platform is try to do awards for attending various booths. So if you've attended a conference, let's say SHRM here in the United States or HR.com future live events, they'll encourage you to visit various booths and then put your name in for a drawing if you attend all the booths or some of the booths. Think about those types of experiences here too, because if you encourage them to go into a booth, perhaps watch a video or read a particular handout, you can then use the quizzes or them attending those things as a reward if they attend all of those things. Now some more design tips as we talk about the actual virtual benefits fair layout. Now again, I got multiple layouts in here. I've borrowed some from some companies. I've used ours here on the screen here. And it's just to try to give you a 30,000-foot look at all the available benefits. So the first thing and why we like these layouts, think quick look awareness. A lot of people don't even know the benefits that they have. I know you guys are experiencing this as you do your open enrollment communications. People don't even know you maybe have a commuter program, or people don't even know you've got disability or mental health benefits or an EAP. So this quick look awareness is sort of like a theme park map. You immediately know all the available rides, where they are, and where you can possibly go, and then you can start assembling your plan as to kind of go through the virtual fair experience. The next thing to think about with yours, and hopefully your HRIS system, your Ben admin system, or maybe you're using a communication system, is be mobile ready. Again, spouses, instant access, you name it. Mobile is really, really critical. We've got some clients where mobile is only 5 or 10%, but right now we're seeing it 30, 40, 50% of communications or engagement with the client's communications is mobile. The next thing is chat. A lot of times you're using Microsoft Teams, you're using Slack, you're using other tools. Look for a way to directly link your virtual benefits fair experience to your instant chat and set up maybe office hours or times for people to give instant answers. Now, again, you can go out and get a big virtual benefits fair experience. We're not that big, complex virtual benefits fair. This user experience comes with Learn Your Benefits, and we try to use all of your existing tools like chat instead of making you use a separate chat function. So this is a value add with our platform that we'll talk about maybe at the end here if we have time. So just again, the idea is instant answers. So it's instant access to a person to answer questions as if you were a live person in a lobby at a trade show. The next thing is webinars. Now, these are still really critical for those people that have different learning needs or need to be taught or prefer to be taught or prefer to see how things might resonate. Again, look for ways to link in your existing tools. Go to webinar, certainly Zoom, Microsoft Teams is what we use here internally. Try to open up times for people to register for webinars. Use the existing tools you have. You don't need to boil the ocean. And again, that's our perspective. Let's try to use a lot of the tools an organization already has. And that's how, again, Learn Your Benefits is built. Now, also give people a path. If you go to a trade show or you go to an event, you want them to be able to leave the event or perhaps get back to that help desk, if you will, the welcome video. So have a way for them to jump back and remind themselves of, well, what were the benefits that changed and what was the important thing I needed to learn? What was the key message that the person in the video told me about? Give a way out, help them kind of go back and forth nonlinear. Now I want to try to give you an example of what inside of a booth might look like. Now there's other layouts. Your Ben admin system might allow you to dig down deeply. Let's just give you an example of, now I'm in a particular booth. I'm in the medical insurance booth here, as you see at the top of the screen. If you look up in the top left, you see a back button, but let me just call out a few things here. So like I said, this is now the one-stop destination for everything medical insurance. So you see videos. So videos are a really critical piece because, and peel back the onion a little bit more here, some people want video. Some people want a linear description of the plan, the rates, how to use it, particularly with high deductible plans, or juxtaposing traditional and high deductible plans, you name it. So in this particular list, there's a number of videos built in here because those really do drive knowledge. But now you've got people who just want instant answers, as we talked about in that checklist. Spouses need an instant answer, an employee needs an instant answer. So down below, don't make people look around and click through multiple links. Put everything in front of them, from handouts to links for navigation. Put it all right there for them to get at, because again, different learning needs and awareness. So you look at this now, without having to click through a number of pages, without having to have somebody tell me, I am immediately aware they're using Blue Cross 365. They have a fitness program. They've got doctor on demand, so virtual, online care. They've got a number of videos. They've got clearly 2 PPO plans and a high deductible plan. It's immediately aware of what people need to have. Okay, and then now, just like you would do a trade show or you would have at an expo, you go, well, you know what? I want to return to the hall. I want to go back. I want to go visit another booth. I want to go find out what dental is, etc. So with the back button here, you can return to the hall. The other thing I want to point out that I sort of flew past down below are links. The thing that's really important is giving people a starting point for their benefits education journey. So links are great as a navigator, but give them something to come back to, a landing page, if you will. So whether it's your HRIS system or an intranet site or Learn Your Benefits, give them something to land back on and then navigate out from there. So keep a central sort of focal point for your communications is really, really critical. Now, let me just kind of go back through a checklist. You can print this off if you really feel like it's valuable. The things that hopefully you pulled from the last 5 or 10 minutes on the virtual benefits fair and open enrollment experiences, make it feel special. So it's not just another open enrollment or a webinar or a PowerPoint that you're doing for 45 minutes. Make it feel interesting and a little bit different. And that, I think, is going to be really, really important for this open enrollment season, where people are still very likely virtual. And a lot of employers aren't going back full time. I know a lot of the organizations I've talked to lately, they're going back 2 or 3 days, potentially a week permanently. So when it comes to open enrollment for those employers, it's really important to make it feel special, not just another Zoom meeting or Microsoft Teams meeting. Think about building knowledge now. We're big believers in, you can build knowledge by first starting with awareness. Once you're aware of the benefits that an organization has, then you can begin learning about those benefits through video, and then ultimately through print, and then ultimately through instant answers. Again, people have then become aware of, oh, that happened. We all subconsciously fall to this when we see ads online or targeted ads for us if we visit news outlets and things like that. We've all seen organizations follow us around with ads on websites. Subconsciously, that's what's happening with with you. And so I really hope that's what's happening with your open enrollment and virtual benefits fair experience is let's just have them be aware of the benefits, and ultimately then that'll increase curiosity, and curiosity then will drive decisions. We talked about different learning needs. We don't need to keep going on that. So it's just really important to have multiple tools there. The videos, as Corey will actually talk about in a minute, they don't need to be huge. They don't need to be giant productions. Just keep them brief, help it resonate, and then have print there to supplement and to add instant answers to, which brings me to this. So if you can't get an instant answer from print or a video, move to chat. Let's talk about implementing chat, live chat solutions for instant answers. Use the tools you already have. You don't need to recreate the wheel or boil the ocean. Look to see what you can have access to with your IT team, or even solutions like us or other solutions. If you're going to do videos or you're going to do PowerPoints, we really encourage you to remove the jargon and use examples. So videos without jargon with examples, that's really, really critical. We frequently do 3 or 4 examples, young person, single, limited expenses, and how they can manage their healthcare with a high deductible plan or save future savings. And then you've obviously got couples with children, you've got retirees or nearing retirement, then you have actual retirement where you start bringing in Medicare here in the United States and so on. So, and then really, really importantly, let's make sure everything is in a single location without having them to go to 15 different links. You have maybe it's with an HRS system, a event admin system, very regularly things are buried down deep into screens and their videos are clunky to get at. And think about a separate communication solution that can do some of these things here with navigation. So with that, then I'm going to pivot over to the second polling question. And the question is, do you think a virtual benefits fair experience would actually be uniquely positive for your employees? Go ahead and answer one of those 4 questions. And this is again my take. I'm personally burned out on Zoom meetings, GoToMeetings, Microsoft Teams. I want to start shaking hands and kissing babies, as I like to say. I want to get out there and meet people. So by doing open enrollment in just a standard way, I just don't think it's very interesting. So if you're thinking about a virtual experience, let's try to make it really interesting. So I'd love to see what you guys think. And the survey says, yes, somewhat. And that's actually the answer I was really expecting. We really believe in crawl, walk, run. Just try something. Maybe mock something up and use internal teams, or look for a solution that's out there that's easy to implement. Just try it. You don't need to invest a lot of money to get a good experience, because all we're trying to do is just make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more intriguing, to get people more aware, to reconnect with your company. Now we're going to move into the next section, which is the idea of before and after open enrollment. And I talked in the very opening slide a little bit about communicating before and after OE, because that's where it's the prep work, the weightlifting, the 100-yard dashes is where athletes win or perfect their particular position on the field, or in whatever sport you're following. And so we're big believers in that open enrollment and virtual benefits fairs are really one during the prep work or the follow-up work, and making sure you have a solution or you have ideas to easily and quickly, without having to do a ton of work, quickly and easily communicate before and after open enrollment. So what we're going to talk about here isn't just our opinion. What I want to do is actually bring in some news articles and things like this. You guys are aware of this. But I also want to make it so it's not just Learn Your Benefits telling you this, because of course Learn Your Benefits say that. But at the same time, I really believe some of the other premier organizations that are out there, like Business Solver here, is saying people spend an average of 17 minutes a year electing their benefits. They're cramming, if you will. Now, some people are, that's an average. Some people are spending 30 minutes. Other people are spending 2 minutes. So it's really important that you either A, maximize your engagement during that brief period of time to make it easy for people to get answers, or B, you're communicating in the rest of the year, the remaining 50 weeks out of the year. So this is from this organization, Voya Financial, trying to give people all of their information in open enrollment is like making them cram for a final. I've actually borrowed this quote a number of times already in this presentation because I think it's really important. Driving awareness easily and quickly leading up to open enrollment is really critical. We love seeing organizations begin to communicate well before open enrollment. We just think it really drives the impact, and you'll get instant adoption in that open enrollment season. This person continues on to talk about where organizations make missteps in their ineffective benefits communications. And that's not communicating year round, not using clearly understood language, which I use the term resonate. We use the term here resonate. It's got to resonate. It's got to make sense for their particular family situation. And then not communicating through multiple channels. Again, we talked about web and mobile, virtual benefits fair, a landing page with navigation. So using multiple channels to engage your people. And then Benefits Pro. Make sure you have an online resource that you can use to communicate to your employees all year long. So again, the other 52 weeks. So what we want to talk about now in the next couple of minutes is borrowing from our marketing and sales people. Now, don't panic. This isn't our graphic, but I think it's really, really important to take a look at. I want to call your eyes immediately to the purple or red color, depending on the color accuracy of your monitor, of awareness and research, consideration, evaluation, purchase. So marketers and sales teams think of these steps as people become aware of the products that they're trying to sell. So awareness both means awareness. The buyer is, oh, I need that. And then awareness, as the buyer, you go, oh, well, now I'm aware that this particular organization is selling this. And then consideration is the next step. Now you're beginning to compare different products. You're trying to compare maybe cars on you want a four-door sedan, but is it a Honda or is it a Toyota? So now you're considering them. And now you're going to move over to evaluate. Now you're really going to see, well, does that car have a big enough back seat for my family? And I want to make sure it's got GPS or maybe Apple CarPlay or whatever. So now you're evaluating, you make the purchase, and then you're going to try to hopefully that maybe you chose Toyota. Hopefully then they nurture you with a good experience through the rest of that. So then you're likely then to buy another Toyota. Now I want to talk about another example on this, and sorry to hit it over the head, but I want to just think of this as a continuum or a circle, if you will. Think about Target back to school here in the United States. Oh, well, now I need to prepare for back to school. So Target early on, well before schools begin, are showing ads for backpacks. And then now you see the ad and you see a video now of a family going shopping together, and the children are picking out a backpack off the shelf. And that begins to resonate with you. Oh, I can take my child to Target and pick out an actual backpack. And then you go into Target, you purchase the backpack and your other school supplies, and then you feel good on your way out because Target thanks you for it. And it's always a great experience when you go in there because you bought everything that you really didn't need, and all you really bought was just a backpack. So I'm just going through all of this to help present to you the idea of promoting your benefits year round. And so if you take anything from this, you can simplify everything that I just showed you down to a circle, and you can have your own circle. In our case, it's, well, think about shuffling, which I'll talk to you about all these things in just a second. Think about shuffling your content, think about promoting it. Then once you have the employee's attention, let's keep the attention with retain, and then let's measure engagement as you go through this continuous cycle. And again, I'm going to dive into each one of these steps. So if you remember anything about marketing or communicating year round, think of it as these 4 steps. However, before you get started, we really want to see organizations build out a content calendar. So this is the 50 weeks out of the year. I know you can feel scary to add to your work during the year, but you don't need to create a lot of the content we're going to talk about. Try to get content from your vendors. Try to get content from employees, perhaps, can create something. Maybe you have a marketing team that can do a handout. Maybe you work with organizations like us who can help sort of feed some of your content. But build out your content calendar. And once you have your content calendar, then let's talk through our various steps, that shuffle, promote, retain, and evaluate that I just talked about. So the first one is shuffle. We use the word shuffle because it's changing the user experience. When employees come to your website, if you notice, Target changes their website regularly. If you clicked on an ad from Google and went to Target, the experience is different than as if you went straight to target.com. They're shuffling their user experience in order to create prominence of a particular thing they want you to buy. And they also want you to think call to action. They want you to purchase something. So think different employee experiences for different purposes. You might use the Canadian Pacific one that you see here in the top left to promote a single benefit. It's a video front and center. Hey, everybody watch this video. And then also print is down below. So use videos, use print, use whatever you have. Third content is fine. Look for tools that you can use existing content. Like I said, don't boil the ocean. Now, just like Target and the whole backpack thing, now let's run promotions. Let's call people to this landing page or this employee experience that we just talked about and encourage them to either A, watch a video, B, click a link, C, read a particular flyer or document. All of this is existing information that is out there. Look for a system that hosts all of this. Think calls to action too. If you're trying to get them to look at high deductible health plan information or disability or EAP or mental health awareness benefits, make sure those are front and center prioritized. Once you have people's attention now, you've promoted them, you've driven them to target.com, if you will. Now let's keep that attention. So make sure everything is instantly accessible. You see here now immediately, I have a link to an assistance website. I have a phone number. I have multiple phone numbers. 4 pillars of mental fitness, well-being resources. Everything is now immediately in front of them. And then layer on top of that search. There's some cool systems out there now where you can just get instant answers to something with a search to recommend particular content types. Or think about recommending relevant research or relevant documents at certain times of maybe a video. So in this case, the video might be talking about a medical plan. Well, this is a great time at 2 or 3 minutes in the video. Hey, check out this summary plan description right here. Or hey, did you know we have a 24-hour nurse line now? We're talking about deductibles. So we're trying to keep their attention. We have tools where we recommend content based on the video, but well, those work really, really well, and they're certainly appreciated by our clients. But just think about putting similar content types together to keep people's attention. And then here's another example too, where you're listing off more related resources. And then the final step now, this is what marketers are doing, is they're measuring engagement. Did people come to my site and look at my mental health well-being or financial well-being, you name it? Did they look at it during that period of time? So in January, when I promoted going back to the gym or my gym reimbursement program, because again, it's January, New Year's resolutions, everyone's trying to go back to the gym. Did people even click on those links? Did they watch a video? Did they download anything? And if they didn't, maybe we need to promote it again. Maybe for 2 weeks, you measure. If they didn't, you do it for another 2 weeks. Let's drive people again to your organization's landing page or marketing site for your benefits. Doing this year-round helps you target specific results. If you might just be looking to just have higher engagement and retention, have people have a higher awareness of new plans or wellness programs. Those are great. No two organizations are the same. Every one of our clients comes to us with a different challenge. So yours might be adoption of a high deductible plan or an ICHRA plan. If you're trying to target that, then obviously you're going to shuffle your website. You're going to put that ICHRA content front and center. You're going to drive people to it by promotions. Hopefully you're going to retain their attention with some additional materials. Might just be even a video filmed by you. And then you're going to see whether or not people actually engaged with that high deductible health plan or ICHRA content. Maybe it's just fewer questions, or really you're trying to control costs, because we do have some clients that come to us and go, I just need to cut a few $100,000 out of my budget. The CFO is banging on my door and I can't do anything about it. So you're trying to target results, and that's what marketers and sales teams are doing year round, is they're trying to obviously sell different products. You guys are certainly trying to do the same thing. You're trying to create a healthier, wealthier, overall higher engaged employee. And you can certainly target that if you begin to bring communications out into the rest of the year. So as I begin to hand it off here over to Corey, I'm going to just queue up the third of 4 polling questions. And what is your biggest challenge? And perhaps think about, can you maybe communicate more frequently during the year to address these challenges? And like I said, no 2 of our clients are the same. And you guys might have 1 of these or 2 of these or all of these. So I'd be really curious to hear what your biggest challenge is right now.
Okay. And I think we're ready to go, right?
Well, we're going
Rhonda?
to see what the answers are.
There we go.
Overwhelmed with information. That's fantastic, guys. So with that, I want to thank you for listening to me for the last 35 minutes. And at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Corey Erb, who's going to take it to the home stretch. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate everyone joining us today. This is Corey Erb with Learn Your Benefits, and I'm going to just kind of wave hi, and then I'm going to kind of kill my camera here just so we can go through it. But thanks again for joining us, everybody, today. Hopefully, you're getting a lot out of this this webinar and how it can help you. So, I want to talk a little bit about kind of wrapping this up, talking a little bit about do's and don'ts. Using videos, webinars, handouts when communicating virtually. So let's kind of just, go ahead and jump right into it. So let's talk about some do's. Do use short videos and webinars. As we talked about, having longer videos or voiceover PowerPoints that are very, very long. And trust me, we do them all the time and we get requests for them. They're not bad, but if you're depending upon a long video or a long voiceover PowerPoint as your main source, you're really losing the interest of your employees and the spouses, just because going back to some of that information that Brian spoke of, the average employee only spends about 17 minutes per year reviewing and enrolling in their benefits. And that's not just their healthcare or their medical, that's their overall total reward benefits. So having a short video is really key. Addressing different learning needs. Brian mentioned this as well in the first part. So this is definitely a do. If you think about it, let's use HSA as an example. There are people out there that are old pros with HSAs. They've had a health savings account for many, many years. And now this year, they want to know what their contribution amounts are, or they're interested in investing. You might have other employees that are completely new to a health savings account and they don't know the first thing about it, or their family doesn't. And they want information, they want details. So being able to provide on both ends of the spectrum an overview and being able to dive down deep into the minutia of the information is also key. But learning needs means, there are a lot of people out there that prefer not to read. So having videos is really key. So definitely do that. Use examples to resonate. Brian mentioned this earlier as well. So when we're talking about videos in particular, or we're talking about any kind of communication for benefits, setting up unique examples based on your client population. We mentioned it: single, married with children, getting ready to retire, retiree. At different points of these life cycles, it's really important to highlight how benefits might affect somebody. And you can do that very easily with video. And so having examples that resonate is really key. Using print, if it's concise and resonates, definitely do that as well. Having print, as I mentioned before in the HSA example, having something that you can dive down deep into the minutia and put as much detail as you want is really great. But what about those folks that don't necessarily need that? Start with a video, start with an overview, start with something that's graphically advantageous to somebody and engaging, and then allow them to dive down deep into the minutia of that text content and print. So definitely do that. Definitely reach for spouses, or don't forget about spouses. A lot of healthcare decisions are made by partners and spouses, not just the employee. So being able to have uninterrupted access for spouses for general benefit information for your organization is really key. And then finally, do use welcome and orientation videos, whether it's onboarding or getting people up to speed on some benefit changes for the year. You can cover a lot with video that you might otherwise not be able to do through email or through print or through postcards or even for, voice over PowerPoint. So definitely consider doing orientation and welcome videos. All right, let's talk a little bit about what not to do as we kind of summarize this a little bit. Don't use a lot of technical benefit jargon. I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir since you're all sort of in HR or benefits or total rewards. So we live and breathe this every day, but think about your audience, think about who you're connecting to. And if you're going to use a lot of acronyms like HSA, FSA, HRA, DC, you're going to talk about limited purpose FSAs. You're going to talk about, out-of-pocket maximum, coinsurance, copay. These are terms that the average employee don't really think about on an annual or on a regular basis. And so try to remove that. And we'll talk a little bit about some things and solutions that we have, but definitely try to keep it as an example on a high level as well. So don't use a lot of jargon if at all possible. Brian mentioned this too. Don't try to make your employees cram during open enrollment. Again, giving them so much information and not an ability to sort through it or to get the information that's most important to them is bad. You're just kind of dumping a whole bunch of materials and information on them. And remember, information is not knowledge. It's just data. So one of the things that I think a lot of HR people like to do is check the box. Well, I got to make sure that my employees have this for compliance and this for HSAs and this for wellness and this for voluntary and this for disability and et cetera, et cetera. So they're checking the box, but they don't necessarily stop and pause and think, what are the priorities of how I want to present this information? How do I want to get this across to my employees and the spouses? So don't make your employees cram for the exams. Don't do that. Don't create a video that's longer than 5 minutes on average. That doesn't mean necessarily that you can't or you shouldn't ever, but at the same time, as a best practice, don't try to keep things that are very long. Again, because if we go back to that 17 minutes per employee per year average, that means that they're just not having enough time to go through a lot of information. So if you're putting together a 45-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute PowerPoint voiceover, they're not necessarily going to get it. Don't use too much text. Using a lot of text and not graphically articulating or visually articulating a lot of what you're trying to get across is never helpful. If you can, try to avoid firewalls. What that means is, if you have a benefit admin system or an HRI system, and you make people log in somewhere, well, that's fine for your employees, but what about spouses? Spouses are not going to have access to that general benefit communication information. We're not talking about specific employee information here. We're talking about general benefit education so that they can make the most informed decision. So try to keep those things open. You got to protect yourself. You got to protect your proprietary stuff. That's all great. We understand that 110%. But when it comes to general information, try to keep some things open. Don't just use benefit guidebooks. A lot of people put a lot of time into putting together their PDFs or their actual print pieces. And again, those are tremendous. Those are never going to go away, but don't just use benefit guidebooks. Okay. So with that, we're going to do a quick poll here and I'll read this to you. If you were to license a benefit, I'm sorry, this is getting out of the way. If you were to license a benefit communication solution, what 2 considerations or requirements would be at the top of your list? And for this poll question, we're asking you to select 2 of them. So we'll take a second here, take a look at some of the things that are listed here, 1 through 9, and give us two answers to this, just so that we can see if it kind of matches our data and what we're seeing on the back end. And I'll wait for the poll results before continuing. And hopefully we're almost done and we'll have a quick poll result. I'm not seeing one yet. So maybe Rhonda can let me know. And there it is. Great. So obviously price, we definitely know that. Year-round engagement, 61% in value, not just for open enrollment. Couldn't agree with you more. And some of the other top ones are return on investment and maybe decision support tool. So all really good answers, and that definitely matches up with what we're here to talk about. So I'm going to try to now give you a conclusion of Learn Your Benefits and sort of how we can help. And again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this just because our time is limited and we want to make sure we leave a little bit of time left for questions and answers. But to give you kind of an overview of how we can help, let's just kind of talk about it. So our values, what are we really based at here? What do we do at Learn Your Benefits that is designed to help you? Well, we understand that frequent communications boosts awareness and knowledge. And we talk about this through going year round. So not just for open enrollment, not just for onboarding once somebody starts, but being able to position content, being able to position your benefits, and to be able to highlight your benefits all year long so that your employees understand what great benefits and total rewards you're offering them. And remember, knowledge, not data, not information, but knowledge about your benefits and the awareness of that will help boost adoption and help control costs. So those are two big things that we really want to talk about. Video boosts retention behavior. Obviously, as a video first solution, which we'll talk about in a second, we really believe that this is a behavioral change that can happen. And remember, video has never been more affordable, accessible, or expected than ever before. Brian, who just mentioned it, actually kind of coined that. I absolutely 100% agree with him that video is more important than ever. And if you think about how we receive information in 2021, we're using video to do it almost always. People want answers at their fingertips. So people don't want to wait for the information to get to them or be able to search for it. So they want to be able to pull up the information that's most relevant to them. So having something for mobile is definitely key, but being able to pull up something that they're going to be able to get the specific information for them very quickly is also key. And people prefer a primary destination for that information. So they don't necessarily want to go to 5 different websites or 5 different PDFs. They're okay with starting at one location and being able to pull up multiple things. But that's what they want, is one destination for all of their communication needs. So again, just to kind of as a recap, at Learn Your Benefits, we're the first video-focused communication platform that can pivot from open enrollment to onboarding to everything in between. And again, just to kind of go back to what Brian was saying, what we're doing really is we're trying to take a page out of the sales and marketing playbook for best practices and apply it for human resources and for benefit communication. So what we've done with our platform is we're giving you all the tools and the ability to, in a very easy way, an intuitive way, to do shuffling of content and being able to post all of your benefit information using video as really the cornerstone for this. So our proprietary approach, as I just started talking about, simplifying what we're trying to do for your audience. Your audience are your employees and their spouses. Okay. And so you have to think about, how do I get this information in front of them so they're going to participate, utilize, and feel really good about our benefits to make them happier, healthier, and just more productive employees. So shuffling, promoting that content, retaining the information, retaining the attention of the employees and the spouses, and then evaluating how that particular campaign or how that particular shuffle of the content, if you will, went. And it's a cyclical process. So that's what we've tried to do to make it easy. Shuffling designs and engaging videos and all of your resources to boost engagement during specific times of the year and target specific results. So as you can see here, these are a few of our designs that we have. So you might have a design, during open enrollment, you might have a virtual benefit fair design that's going to give people very specific information. Then for a new hire or an onboarding event, you might pivot to another design with different content that's specialized to give more of a high level on medical or a retirement, let's say. And then you might have another yet third option that's talking about a specific event. Maybe it's a health risk event, a health risk assessment event, or maybe it's a financial wellness event, planning for retirement, and you want to promote that. Or maybe it's about talking about spending for your limited purpose FSA, and you want to talk about vision care or dental care and being able to use those dollars. Whatever the case is, whatever the event is, we want to be able to engage and educate your employees as quickly as possible. And as we talked about before, jargonless or as jargonless as possible, videos and being able to take information and visually articulate it to your employees. So we're not just putting text on the screen. We're not just doing, boring PowerPoints. We're doing motion graphics, and we're keeping employees and spouses' attention with graphical and flowing information through videos that are short, pithy, and to the point, and being able to add your own videos and being able to add your providers, your brokers, your consultants' videos that you already have, or third-party videos, or your own videos that you've already constructed to your own library. And that's really important. And so let's talk a little bit about existing solutions and how sort of, where we feel like we're different. Well, decision support tools are great, but they're not necessarily great year round. They don't necessarily provide for total reward. So maybe you have one for deciding between a traditional health plan and, say, a high deductible health plan with an HSA, but they don't necessarily help for everything. And what about third-party content? What about being able to put in information? And a lot of times decision support tools might be kind of childlike or totally boring, and the opposite end of the spectrum, and people are still not really getting them. And then what about other video providers? Well, can other video providers shuffle content or designs? Can they allow you to add your own third-party content, or your content, meaning your own videos or videos you've already purchased or videos you already have accessible, or maybe even within your chief executive area, they want to have videos that can be able to get out to the troops? What about analytics? Are you tracking those videos? Are you seeing the usage? Are you understanding the duration of how long the videos are being looked at? A lot of times we'll load up a voiceover PowerPoint from one of our clients, and they'll have it for 60 minutes, and we'll tell them, well, you're only having people look at that for about 14 or 15 minutes, and then they drop off. So, having shorter videos might be the answer. We can determine that for you with some of our analytics. And then how do you add customizations in an affordable way, so you're not paying for a lot of full customizations when you don't necessarily need it? And then finally, custom solutions. A lot of times we get requests for a quick turnaround. We have the ability to do that. We have the ability to do it for a very limited budget. We're also, with our platform, handling all the hosting and streaming for the videos and being able to manage that when you have, hundreds, tens of thousands, if not millions of employees accessing some of those videos all at once. And then again, we're measuring all of that in real time. So that's why we're a lot different from some of our competitors. And we try to stand out because a lot of our competitors don't do what you're seeing on the screen right now. Here's a quick little snapshot of some of the employers that we work with. We work with employers that are micro employers, well under 100 employees, all the way up to large employees that have thousands, tens of thousands, and even some of our partners that have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of consumers that are accessing videos on a regular basis. So it's one of those things that, you're looking for a solution. You want a solution that's going to be affordable and easy to implement, easy to use, and allow somebody to help you with the heavy lifting. And that's really what we do. I'm not going to go through all of these packages, but suffice to say, we have packages that'll make it easy for you to upgrade or downgrade depending on what you really need, and sort of kind of crawl, walk, run, and grow with us over time. We have an essential package, which is essentially our platform with all of our library of videos in, which you get at one site in, and that's no specific videos that are designed for you or customized videos. But then we have an open enrollment where maybe we're putting together a benefit overview video or some plan design videos for healthcare, for retirement, for dental, vision, those kinds of things. And you're getting another site. All of these can rotate or pivot, if you will, and shuffle content. So you might have the essential package where you're using for open enrollment, and then you'll pivot over to onboarding. You can pivot to another event. As the packages grow, so does your opportunity for multiple different sites and multiple different video options. So the year-round one, as an example, you get 2 sites. So you might want to have one for open enrollment and then have one for the rest of the year. Some of our clients have it for, very specific employee types, such as union, non-union, as an example, or executive, non-executive, or maybe even multiple different things. And as we get higher into the packages, we're providing more content, more customization, and more sites for you depending on your needs, all of which we try to consult and put you in the right package so that you're saving money, you're seeing your ROI, you're seeing and being able to evaluate the usefulness and the effectiveness of our platform in real time. And that's really our goal. So again, we do thank you. We do appreciate it. And we've left a little time here for Q&A. And so hopefully we'll have a few questions and we'll wrap it up. So with that, I will throw it back to Rhonda.
Thanks, Brian and Corey. Folks, there's still just a couple of minutes here as we wrap up. For Brian and Corey, if you have any questions. And Corey or Brian, did you see any come in just ahead of time?
I didn't see any sitting here. Maybe I'm not.
I did not either. I was sort of keeping an eye on it for the bulk of the presentation, but I didn't have any meaty ones. But we're happy to answer any either now or later. If somebody wants to follow up, we're happy to address it later too.
For sure. Do you want to just share your contact information again for folks so that they can reach out to you afterwards?
Yeah, let me just put our screen back on here. And there you go.
Perfect. And then, yeah, very simple. It's in the chat there, learnyourbenefits.com. So I'll take the time and thank both Brian and Corey for an excellent presentation. And thanks everyone for joining us. And if you have questions afterwards, please reach out to the folks at Learn Your Benefits. Once this session closes, an exit survey is going to open in a new browser. So your feedback is important to us and the folks that Learn Your Benefits. So please just take a moment to fill that out. We thank you for taking the time to answer the polls, to learn so much, and please reach out to Learn Your Benefits. Take care, everyone. Stay well.
Thanks, everybody.